We have Ryan Howe online and Jenny Legaspi, Jeff Robb, Rick Olig, Nicole Bitson, and myself. And then in person,
Travis Mayer,
Chris King, Kelly McCullough, Chad Haynes, Kyle DeVries, Brandon Gray, Dustin Binder.
all right. That's who we have so far. Let's see. I'm just trying to see if I'm missing anybody. I'm not used to this platform. And I don't see Chad Hines. I know
he's in person.
Oh, he is. Oh, okay. I thought he's going to be doing online. All right. First item is, well, the third item actually is approval of the minutes from September 15th. Can I get a motion for that?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion of the minutes or changes?
I think that date's wrong, though. Didn't we meet in March?
Ah, that is wrong. We did meet in March. Thank you, Rick. Any adjustments or other changes to the minute? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
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 Okay, the minutes are approved. Were there any public comments or are there any public comments? I don't think so. Okay, well, we will move on to the reports. And first up is Chad Hines in person.
That's totally up to you. I guess we could just so Nicole and Renee probably don't have to sit through this.
We're having trouble hearing Chad on the computer.
I was just asking Dustin if we wanted to have SRF do their report before we get into all of our individual reports so they don't have to sit through the whole meeting.
Yeah, anybody opposed to that? Sounds like a good idea.
Should we go ahead and is it okay to share our screen or I heard?
Yes, go ahead, Nicole.
Okay.
Yeah, and so anybody who is viewing this is Safe Streets for All is giving a report at the top of the meeting. Go right ahead.
All right, I'll go ahead and get started. I'm Renee Keel. I'm with SRF Consulting Group, the director working on this project. We have been working with your county on a safety action plan. And we just want to give a quick update on a little bit about the plan itself and the funding mechanism for this. And then Nicole's going to give an update on where we're at with the work we've been doing to date. So next slide, Nicole. So this safety plan is being funded by the Safe Streets for All grant program. This is a national funding program through the bipartisan infrastructure law. There's $5 billion that were appropriated for this, and it's been given out over 5. Each year, there's $1 billion given out to safety. That money is used for a number of things, safety action plans, which we're talking about today, but also building safety improvements. And so your county was awarded this grant last year, and so we're working with your group to actually write your plan now. The purpose of these plans is to promote safety. We're looking to implement low-cost, high-strategy safety strategies on your roadways. We're looking to ensure equitable investment. There is data that shows that underserved communities are at higher risk for fatalities with traffic crashes. So looking to see where we can do some equitable investments. And then, of course, using proven safety strategies, things that we know are going to make a difference. Next slide, Nicole. In addition to funding for an actual safety plan, once the plan is done, there are additional funding opportunities to consider in the future. And there's 2 more years of this program. So there's supplemental activities. So if while we're doing your plan, we decide that you might need to do a little bit more planning activities like a speed study or maybe a safe routes to school study around some of your schools, that could be applied for some additional funding. Demonstration projects are a good way to test out some of the construction projects before you actually build them. So for example, if we're talking about eliminating a left turn lane for some reason to shorten the crossings on a roadway, you can get funding to do that as a test by using like plastic bollards and paint to close off the road before you actually make that change. So that's something that is an additional funding opportunity. And then, of course, infrastructure, that's funding to actually build any new strategies we suggest. So just for your awareness, there's more funding opportunities after the plan is complete. So Nicole's going to talk through kind of where we're at with developing your plan, but these are the 8 components that are required as part of the SS4A program, and this is what we're working through as part of this project. So number 1 is leadership commitment and goal setting. Your plan is required to have commitment from leadership, from your board, and we're working through developing a goal of like what are you trying to get to as far as safety, a reduction in fatalities or getting to 0 fatalities by a certain year. So we'll work to set that goal. They like to see a planning structure or like a committee that is involved in the development of this plan, so that when the plan is complete, that committee would actually help implement some of the strategies that are suggested. Safety analysis is one of the biggest things we do. We look at crash data, we look to see where you have at-risk roadways, and that helps us identify where we should be focusing on safety strategies and improvements. We will do some engagement and collaboration. So crash data only tells us so much about your roadways and where the safety issues are. We like to hear from the public and from those that live in the community to tell us where they feel unsafe or where they won't let their kids bike, those sort of things. So we can, also hear from a different perspective where there's some safety challenges. Again, I already talked about equity. We'll look at some equity pieces, overlay crash data on some mapping showing us where your underserved communities are. And then policy and process changes. This is looking at policies you have in place and seeing if there's any modifications that need to happen for safety reasons. So for instance, if you have a policy about plowing sidewalks in the winter, maybe some it has to be a higher priority to make sure that you have facilities open, or crosswalk policy, like where you put crosswalks, that type of thing. We would help review any of that and see if there's any suggested changes. And then the last 2 things are we come up with safety strategies and projects that you implement, and then you're required to post this report publicly and give annual updates on your progress. So those are the components of the plans, the things we're working towards. If you have any questions, I can answer them. Otherwise, Nicole will kind of talk us through where we're at so far.
Okay, so thank you, Renee. We're right now in the bulk of the process of going through the crash analysis and identifying emphasis focus areas. So typically we're going through reviewing all of your crash just between 2019 and 2023, so a 5-year crash data, and then analyzing that to identify specific trends. We're also going to map those crashes, specifically the serious injury crashes, fatal and serious. That is the main focus of SS4A plans. And then we'll identify high priority locations, segments, intersections, and curves throughout your county, and then potentially some different countermeasures to address those locations. And so I do have some examples of what that analysis is going to look like in the results at the end. So we're including all roadways within the county. I apologize, those years should be 2019, 2023. They were those 2018 to 2022, but recently the 2023 crash data was released. And so right now in Dunn County for those 3 or 5 years, there's almost 4,000 total crashes within that 5-year time span. 135 of those were fatal and serious injury crashes. To the left, you'll see a high injury network. So we'll develop something similar to this. We just developed this one for the Madison MPO, and it looks at the concentrations of fatal and serious injury crashes around the region, and then where kind of the focus areas are. So that will be something that will be developed for Dunn County as well. We're also in the process of developing these several crash trees. So this one specifically is for focusing on rural crashes, and it just breaks down and helps to, again, identify where are the concentrations of crashes occurring, what are the different attributes, the roadway characteristics, and just different, helping to help identify, you know, what's going on and where the crash is. We're also looking at emphasis areas. So these ones are specific emphasis areas that are in Wisconsin's SHSP, and they're looking at intersection, lane departure, speed and aggressive driving, and just, again, trying to understand the distribution of fatal and serious injury crashes and what different elements happen during those. And so what we found currently is that lane departure and speed and aggressive driving are one of the main contributors to serious and injury crashes in Dunn County. We're continuing to do more analysis, but that's just kind of the preliminary of what we found. In addition to just your existing crash trends, we're also looking at this systemic proactive approach. So we're currently in the process of collecting all of your roadway feature attributes for segments, curves, and intersections. We're then going to identify risk factors. So kind of, again, what's going on with your roadway context of where these serious injury crashes are occurring. We'll identify high priority locations and then provide some recommendations for potential countermeasures that can address those crashes at those locations. We'll also, these are just an example of some intersection countermeasures. So with that, you will have, like, for example, roundabout, we'll say potential crash reduction factors. So if you were to implement that, this is the amount of percentage of crash reduction you might see, and then a cost as well. So this will be a part of your plan. As Renee mentioned, we're also in the process of public engagement, so that'll include an online survey to kind of identify those perceived locations to help supplement our crash analysis. We'll help to develop some newsletters, help provide some information for website. We'll also help support public or pop-up events that are occurring, so things that are already in place within Dunn County. If there's different summer activities, we'll help to identify those and be there to talk through the safety action plan and talk with the public. And then that wiki map is also with the survey. So it's just an opportunity for community members to identify locations on a map that are of concern. And then also, as Renee mentioned, we're going to look at equity as another component to the plan. So identifying underserved communities to help potentially target those safety countermeasures and safety improvements to address those locations. And so that is currently what we're working on and working towards. Are there any questions for Renee and I?
Yeah, Nicole, this is Dustin. I don't know if you can hear me. Can you just kind of just fill us in like a timeline on when we're looking at trying to receive this data?
For just the crash analysis or the plan? So the general crash trend summary here, we're working on currently, and by end of the summer, we'll have high injury network, all of the crash trees, as well as probably the bulk of the those lists, as well as our goal to have all of the crash analysis completed by then. We're in the process of, we'll work with you, Dustin, to identify some events as well for those pop-ups so we can utilize summer and everyone being out and about. But I would assume most of our crashes are in our analysis will be completed here by the end of summer. And then our plan is early in the fall or like mid-fall is when we'll have the plan first draft.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Anyone else? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole and May. And yeah, feel free to carry on with your day. Thank you for the report. Okay, we'll get back into the other reports. First up is Chad Hines.
All right, first I'll go through where we're at with construction on the state system. 94, the SWEF project, right now they're working on the SWEF building, ramp pavements, the tie-in parking lot, etc. They got the work on 12 open now, and now they're concentrating on 94, so we're gonna have lane closures on and off for probably a couple months here out there. Next week, they're gonna work on the ramp tie-in, and then they'll switch and start focusing in on the median temporary widening work so we can build a new way in motion and keep 2 lanes of traffic open. Right now, looking at having everything done on 94 before around Labor Day, and then total completion sometime in the fall. Highway 64 from O to W, there's the bridge and the box culvert work and the other culvert replacement work. Detour is still using 79 to 170 to 40 to 53. That's on schedule for an August 30th completion. On the local side of things, County C, the Money Creek Bridge replacement. Right now I'm hearing it should be complete around July 10th. 390th Street, the Wilson Creek Bridge redeck. The road will be closed. It's a 45 working day contract, about 2.5 months or so. They're telling me they're going to start that around August 12th. And then the last project, I'm sure Dustin will probably tie in a little bit too with the County B, but our state part of County B from 12 to 94, sounds like they might start paving the northbound lanes next week. They need to switch that traffic to the southbound by the end of July, otherwise they'll start incurring some monetary penalties for that. And then have everything done October, November 1st completion is what I'm hearing on that. Traffic issues, the 29 wrong way driver stuff that we've been talking about for the last few meetings. We have the extra do not enter in wrong way signs. Dunn County has received them. It sounds like possibly next week they might start installing them, getting them doubled up at all the intersections along 29 in the county. We're also doing it in Chippewa as well, out to the County T. We're going to do some pavement markings at the 94 and 29 interchange. It's laid out right now. I don't know when our pavement marking crews will be coming through there. I don't have a date on that yet, but sometime this summer that'll be done. So we'll see if those help with some of the wrong way drivers. And then we're still pursuing getting lights at the interchange as well through a safety project. So working on several different things there. And then the last thing, Highway 25 and double B intersections. So at the last meeting, I had updated everybody where we're at, and we had that gal come in and talk about, her concerns there as well. Shortly after that, we held a meeting with all the locals, the county, townships, the city, brought them all in and discussed where we're at. And since then, in the last month here or so, we received our latest intersection network screening that rates all the intersections in the state. And both of those intersections have been flagged on that list. So now any improvements we do there, we can have a lower cost benefit. So we are pursuing roundabouts at both intersections. Right now, the way it's looking, the south intersection, will more than likely qualify on its own. If we put them together, I don't know if we would be able to get them both because we got a lower cost benefit between the two, the way it's rated, but there's a good chance that we're probably going to get a roundabout at least at the south, if not both intersections. So we're going through all that evaluation right now, and if everything works out, we would have a fall highway safety improvement application put in, and then it'd be probably several years before we get them constructed, but we would gap both those intersections with the 2026 pavement project until we come into the roundabouts. So that's where we're at. Nothing's set in stone yet, but it's looking pretty positive that we're probably going to get a couple roundabouts there.
Pretty good. And that Dustin's hoping for. One county needs one.
Otherwise, that's all I have. Any questions for me?
Thanks, Chad. Don't see any questions. So as Kelly says, you're off the hook. Moving on, next is Rick Oleg, and I think everybody probably saw Rick's email about heading into retirement. So congratulations on that, Rick. And
Thanks.
Yeah, ready for your report.
Hey, Travis, can you pull it up on the screen?
Yep. Who's a little more tech savvy? It's not coming up as a PowerPoint.
I also did send you the actual PowerPoint just to you, Travis. I don't know if that will work better or not.
So are you sharing your screen?
But it wasn't coming as the PowerPoint here, so.
Still clicking it.
That's one I had up.
It was, I thought it was.
It was, but it doesn't want to come up as
I just don't see what's not being shared here. That's weird. Is that what they're seeing or no?
Should be because it's up on this. Well, I guess it's,
Oh, yeah, but why is it coming up?
it's not coming up as a PowerPoint. Postpone that thing. Just click OK.
Oh, shoot, for a second. Okay. Yeah, from your email.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Where did you download? Where did it download to? You know.
Just my downloads folder. But that shows it's a PDF.
Because your PDF is, you don't have Adobe. That's why. So you're stuck doing this. So what you can do is you can go view, maybe. Well, that's weird. You might just have to adjust it. Yeah, that should be it, right?
Are you guys seeing it or not?
No, I can
Okay.
try to share my screen. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not coming up as a PowerPoint. That's the problem we're running into here.
Okay, you want me to try and share mine, see if it'll let me?
Stand by one.
Okay.
Share
There we go.
So you'll just have to scroll through. Sorry.
Okay, scroll to the second screen, please. Fatal numbers as of yesterday, you can see we're about the same as last year. The number that's starting to get a little concerning is that there are 20-some fewer fatal crashes, but more people being killed. A lot of multi-fatality crashes. Milwaukee just had 5 people killed in the last 2 days. So those numbers are going to go up significantly. Next one, please. Looking at the one fatality happened May 18th, the motorcycle crash. Checking that section of roadway that's listed there in red, for 5 years, there are no crashes at all. And I actually checked it 2 or 3 times because I thought it was unusual that you would have any crashes on a road where there's some curvature to it and stuff, but that's the only crash in 5 years. Next one. Just taking a look at your overall crashes, the total numbers are down a little bit. Fatalities are up. But overall, the numbers are fluctuating back and forth. You can see, fewer B injury, fewer C injury. What those numbers basically mean there, if you look under A injury where it says A/16, that means 8 crashes where at least one person in the vehicle had an A injury, but a total of 16 people were injured in those 8 crashes. So that's why there's the 2 numbers listed there. Also, car deers are up, and I've been told that that has to do with a lower harvest last year, as well as the high mosquito rate this year, because we didn't have much of a freeze. So I've been hearing from multiple counties that that's the issue. Next one, please. Looking at the factors, the number 1 factor continues to be speed. 80 speed-related crashes so far this year. None of the fatalities involved factored in speed, and then 20 injuries caused by speed. So you can see those numbers are up. And the other numbers that are still concerning are the teen drivers and the 65+ drivers. Although not involved in the fatalities, they're still involved in a significant number of crashes in the county. And we're kind of seeing that statewide. Next one. Just a quick look at predictive analytics, just looking at your top crash areas countywide. Not a big surprise that we'd see it on in the city of Menominee. Obviously, that's where a lot of traffic is, and you can see the one intersection in the lower part of that box shows teen drivers as the number 1 factor, and tie with that is 65+ drivers. I don't know if there's a McDonald's on that corner, but looks like there must be a lot of activity. And then the second one is Elk Mound. Again, not a huge surprise, but speed is a factor in those crashes. Next one, please. And then taking a look at speed related, keep going down a little bit there. The interstate in the area of 12 is the number 1 area for speed related crashes. 7 crashes over the time frame. And then when you look at the second one, it's the city of Menominee, but you can see it's kind of spread out all over, indicating there isn't really one specific spot. But of those 10 speed related crashes, 5 were also impaired. So that's a concern when you're not only speeding, but you're also impaired. Next one, there's an update to community maps. I know in the past we've talked about quality control and things. Those presentations are now on a 3 to 4 minute video. That's the top part training videos. That'll be expanded quite a bit. What's meant for is for you to download it and maybe ask your patrol deputies or officers to take a look at that. Especially if you see that, let's say on your crash reports, you notice that officers and deputies are having a difficult time putting down what actually caused the crash. Sometimes unknown seems to be the default answer when, as the presentation that they gave just a little while ago talked about, leaving the roadway is one of the top factors they're concerned with. Even when the driver is not able to tell you anything, if the vehicle left its lane of traffic and went into the ditch, you can clearly show that, they fail to maintain control or stay on the roadway. And a lot of times we're starting to see where they just put unknown because they don't know what happened. Well, if you didn't stay in your lane, something happened. Then also there's some user guides below that. We're trying to create a page where you can just go to if there's any questions about community maps, and that'll somewhat be expanded to crash reports also. Next one, on the community maps admin tab. Currently, if you go in there and let's say you want to look at Dunn County crashes, every time that you hit the refresh or the advanced tab, you always have to go back in and pick what you want to see. If you hit the manage user preferences and then go to the next slide, it'll allow you to set default. So you could have it always default to your county or your municipality, and it could always default to whatever crashes you want to see for the majority of times you're in there. And then whether or not you want to have car dealers involved. Save your preferences, and then every time you go in and every time you refresh, it'll automatically go back to that. So that should save some time. Next one, Governor's Conference coming up in August at the Kalahari. Most of, if not everybody, should have received an email with the link talking about the agenda and stuff. That should get updated probably today again with some more sessions and speakers. Next one, the second quarter engineering group has set up some slides on wrong way drivers, which I know has been a topic here for quite a while. Next one, how are they notified? There's the wrong way driver detection, which my understanding is only in Milwaukee County. So basically all these reports are coming from law enforcement, calling down to the TMC in Milwaukee. Next one. Last year, there were 571 reported, whether they're on-time reporting or reported after the fact. I was kind of surprised to see that some of the counties like Fond du Lac, Sheboygan, and Winnebago were 3, 4, and 5 on the list. But as you can see in the Northwest and Southwest, I mean, there's quite a few, but obviously the Southeast is ranking #1, and I think a lot of that's due to the amount of traffic. Plus, they have a lot of older interchanges there where the on-ramp and off-ramp are literally right next to each other. Next one just shows the reporting. You can see down in 2017 is when they started to really push the need for reporting and documenting what's taking place, but the numbers really haven't gone down. They continue to go up, even with the engineering improvements. Next one. Day of the week, I would have thought Friday, Saturday, Sunday would be way ahead, but as you can see, it's even weekdays. One thing that I think Wapaka County just had another one, and something they've put out, the sheriff has put out a thing that's right at night, meaning if you're on a 4-lane highway and there's no reason to be in the left lane, especially at night, stay in the right lane, because most drivers going the wrong way think they're on a 2-lane highway. So they will be in what they consider to be their right lane, but it's your left lane. So it's much safer, especially going over hills and around curves, if you're in the right lane and you just stay there when it's dark out. Next one.
Go for it.
Basically, this just shows what happens. Law enforcement contacts the TMC. They immediately start an incident and start the notifications through the message boards, and then they look on the cameras to see if they can locate it. And then they communicate with law enforcement about what's going on. Their idea is wherever it happens, they make sure the signage 10 minutes out is activated. So you're not putting it so far out that people forget about it. And then they continue to follow up with law enforcement as far as what's going on. If after the first or second report, 10 minutes later, nothing has happened, meaning they have not located the vehicle, they haven't had any more reports of it, and there's nothing on camera, then they will drop the message board because they want the data to be accurate or the message to be accurate, and they understand if nobody's called within 10 minutes, they have either been stopped or they self-corrected. Also, if you want that video, if law enforcement needs that video, you need to tell them right away. It's only captured for 72 hours, so they don't automatically keep those. And that can be some great evidence if you need it for court. Next one. There's some countermeasures, which Chad has talked about numerous times, but they go out and look at the signage. They now have the ability to add reflective strips on the posts. And one of the things that I'm not sure if they've done it here, but Sheboygan County has a bad intersection. And what they did is drop the wrong way sign much lower. So basically, if you look across the hood of your car, that's what you're looking at, because most impaired drivers, as well as those that may have some cognitive issues, don't seem to look around. They pretty much are just looking straight ahead and trying to keep it between the lines. And that seems to be one of the things that does help. Next one. All law enforcement should have got a copy of this letter. It was sent out a couple days ago by the State Patrol about Speed Awareness Day on July 31st. Keep in mind that while this is mostly law enforcement, we would like to have places like, the health department, the schools, the Red Cross, everybody else involved in this and promoting the same message. Granted, speed is a problem every day, but this is a region-wide effort to bring awareness to speed on one day of the year for a 24-hour period. Next one is just a couple of legislative things. Failure to stop for school bus. The fine has gone up significantly. It was $30 to $300. Now it's $300 to $1,000. And that was passed by the governor, or signed by the governor back in March. Also, one that's been proposed is a surcharge to those who have that citation to start funding bus cameras, which I think would be a huge benefit for a lot of counties or areas where they can't afford the cameras. Also, driver education training in work zones, 30 minutes of instruction, and that is being put together by the engineering side of DOT. Just a couple more here. Next one is they increased the penalties for fleeing an officer to a higher class felony. And then on a funding note, the state currently pays $160 per year to law enforcement agencies per officer. Now they're going to update that to $320, which might sound like a lot, but that's for 24 hours of training. So it's not really a whole lot, but at least it's more than what they've been giving in the past. And then the next one is just the contact information, which will change. And as John mentioned, when we started, I didn't send it to everybody, John. I think I just sent it to you and maybe Travis. After 8 years, I'm retiring, like my second retirement. So this will be my last meeting. I'm done the end of July. The new person will be Todd Rasmussen, who's a retired captain from Wapaka County Sheriff. He's been going to most of the meetings, but he couldn't make it today either. So I just wanted to let everyone know that I've enjoyed being part of your group. When I started, Kevin was the chair and the TSC coordinator for the county, and you guys have done a great job in keeping your group together and keeping it going. I think it does help that you have the EMS people there. Most counties, those are two separate committees. So I have to give you kudos for that, because EMS is one of the prime ways to lower those numbers. Making an A injury into a B into a C, and keeping the fatals from happening. The better EMS system you have, the more chances there are of survival. So thank you for everything that you do for traffic safety. Todd will be at your next meeting, and just you guys have been great to deal with, and just give him a chance and don't give him too much of a hard time. I'd appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rick. We won't give him too much of a hard time. Anybody have any questions for Rick after that report?
Yeah, Rick, I think it must have been a year or two ago, the legislature was looking at passing some legislation on ATV, UTV to get a little more local control rather than defaulting to whatever the actual speed limit is on the road. Did that ever go through?
That has not gone through. You're talking about the one where you would be able to drop the speed limit by 20 miles an hour rather than 10. Yeah, that has not gone through. I'm not sure what. I know there was some talk back, both ways about state highways with high traffic numbers, and they still want to, drop it to 35 just to make it an ATV route. Personally, I don't see that happening just because of the comments I've heard on the legislative side of things. But then there's also the discussion about if you listen to what they're doing in Madison, not the legislature, but the city, where they're dropping the speed limits on a lot of the roads. A lot of the city streets are 20 or 25 miles an hour now because their motto is 20 is plenty. Dropping the speed limit does save lives. I think the interaction with ATVs is the question. We just had a double fatality here in Outagamie County last week. And then I was at 2 other meetings where they've had a couple of fatalities with ATVs and motor vehicles. So I'm not sure where it's at, but I do know that it has not gotten out of committee as of last week.
Okay, thank you, because Menominee is thinking about opening up much of the city to ATV, UTV traffic, and that was part of the discussion they're having, so I wanted to check in so I can have a word with the city council about that. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Rick? All right. Well, thank you, Rick, and thank you for all the years, and we'll miss it. I had trouble hearing at the beginning about everyone who's in the room in person, so forgive me if I ask you through there or not. But, Railroads is up next. Is Mike around today?
He is not present.
Okay, thank you. Travis Mayer, the Highway Safety Coordinator, is up next.
I'll do my report here from the Sheriff's Office. We had 66 total crashes since the last meeting. 21 of those were multi-vehicle crashes, 45 single vehicle crashes. 21 crashes with injuries. Of those, there were 29 people injured, which is a significant increase from the last meeting. However, that's usually due to speeds increase in the summer and injuries increase. We've had 1 fatal crash that got alluded to earlier. I'll just briefly kind of cover that. There was 2 motorcycles traveling together with a car behind them, returning from a bachelor party to take the bikes back to their residence. They were familiar with the area. Very slight curve in that road, and the bike continued and went off the left side of the road, crossed the center line, went off the left side of the road, was unable to recover, and then hit a field driveway, and the driver suffered fatal injuries. Alcohol report is not back on that case yet, but alcohol is suspected to be a factor in that crash. We had 8 alcohol or drug-related crashes with those. There were 5 of those were injury crashes, and 8 people were injured. The other thing that I had is I had a concerned citizen call in reference to State Highway 64 in Connersville, concerned about the speed limit through there. I think last time you said that was not going to be reduced. Right. She was going to come today, but apparently did not make it in to do the public comment. They're concerned that that speed limit should be dropped all the way from about County Q all the way through Connersville due to the number of crashes there and the severity of the crashes. They live right at one of the intersections, and one of the last fatals was right in front of their house. So they're just looking to get that reduced. But
that fatal was outside of our 5-year window, and most of the crashes, the crashes are concentrated at 79. Okay.
Yeah.
And we can't justify lowering it based on crash history for a spot location.
Yeah.
So unfortunately it's too rural. You know, I spoke with her for quite a bit about that. I'm sure it's the same person.
Probably. And then the Sheriff's Office is continuing to do the seatbelt and speed grants this summer. Right now I'm running about 15 5-hour shifts in the month of June. They've been pretty productive, other than the weather has been kind of a deterrent to getting these shifts completed. So that, and just people aren't signing up for the overtime as much. But we have plenty of grant money to spend on it from the state, and trying to get that spent. That's all I have.
Thank you, Travis. Any questions for Travis? All right, thank you. Dustin, the Highway Department.
I'll just go through our project list here. So as Chad mentioned before, our County Road B project from 1229 to I-94, they're looking at trying to pave that northbound lane starting next week. The County Road B portion from I-94 to Packer Drive, that continues. We have shut B down from the railroad tracks to Packer Drive. Due to safety issues when we opened that road up for approximately a week. We had a number of vehicles that were not obeying the signage. I know it is confusing out there. We are trying to look at opening it up again here in probably 2 or 3 weeks, possibly. If we can find a solution to help the traffic congestion. We are exploring the possibility of installing a 4-way stop there, temporary, at Badger Drive in B, which is the Love's intersection, Love's gas station. But obviously we have to have the railroad be supportive of that with their traffic signals. So as of right now, it's going to be shut down until we can further investigate or provide a better safety solution there at that intersection interim-wise. Long-term, that will have traffic signals. We're looking at anticipating that probably not until the fall to have those up and running. The County Road H, the 85 to T, we pulverized and repaved that roadway. Last week we finished that up. We just have to shoulder that road and we will be done. County Road H from 29 to Elk Mound, we pulverized and repaved that roadway last week as well. We just need to shoulder that, put pavement markings on it. Next week, we're looking at, weather permitting, the start of County Road Z project from 90th Avenue to County Road D in the town of Bull Galley. That road will be shut down for approximately, I would say, 2 months with no signed detour. So traffic will have to make accommodations. County Road M from 64 to Sand Creek, we're looking at pulverizing and repaving that roadway, I would say in the next month. And having that completed by the end of July is our intent. And then last but not least, our County Road Double V, we are putting new asphalt pavement and overlay on that from triple V to V. That will not be scheduled until later this fall. Other than that, that's all I have on my end.
Thank you, Dustin. Anybody have any questions? All right, we will move on. I don't believe Supervisor Parknow is in the room.
No.
Okay. Anyone from the Menominee Police Department?
Yeah, thank you. I apologize, I don't have numbers for this meeting, but as Rick noted on the maps that he was showing, our problem areas continue to be the same. Pine, Oak Avenue, mostly property damage crashes. We had one slight injury OWI crash last week in the city, Highway 25 near Wolski Bay Road, where they hit a pole and later were found to be like a 2-2 or something like that. They were super high at like 11 in the morning, 10 something in the morning. So not unusual, just glad they didn't hurt anybody else in that crash, because it could have been much worse. And as already mentioned, the UTV ordinance is probably coming to the city. We'll see. It's still in its infancy, I think, but it sounds promising that this is something that may go through. So that is going to bring some challenges. It is pretty much going to be open UTV traffic in the city, except for a couple state highway spots. So should be interesting. And maybe we'll get a UTV out of the deal to help do some enforcement, because I see that as a problem. Not being able to do proper enforcement just with the SWAT. So.
I was just gonna say, with that, are we doing any additional in-house training as far as chapter 23?
Yeah, so we've already reached out, or Andy, Lieutenant Brutlog's been tasked with training our officers. And he reached out to the DNR, I think, already, or was going to, about getting some more proper training on enforcement and crashes and so on. So.
Yeah, one that's competent to teach that.
So yeah, that'll be a big change for our department for sure. If the UTV thing does go through, it sounds like it's promising.
I guess regarding the ATV, UTVs, I don't know if Travis can speak on that. Has there been issues on the county level? I see Krista posted on Facebook.
The main issue we're having is they don't know the difference between a state highway and a county highway. I think we need to probably look at getting our state highways posted as no ATVs. We put out that Facebook message yesterday, trying to keep people off of it. In the last week and a half, well, in the last month, I think I've had at least 5 different incidents where I've heard of ATVs on Highway 40. One on a very regular basis, but I want to, I think, put a stop to that. I did get a report last week of one traveling on the 4-lane section of State Highway 29 as well. So people they don't know the difference, or they don't care the difference between the state highway and the county highway, and they think they can just drive wherever. So we're trying to put a stop to that, but I think signage is going to be a necessary thing.
It's gonna be interesting when the city opens theirs up, because they wanna include the piece of Broadway over the Red Cedar, which is 4-lane. So that's gonna be interesting to see how that works.
And the only other thing that I've noticed lately too is operation with lights on. Oh yeah, I totally forgot. So they're not doing it.
And youthful operation has always been a problem. Not so much kids operating, but kids not having helmets. Some kids operating, running up and down the road in front of their house, that kind of stuff. So when we do find those, we have 0 tolerance on being on a highway that they're not supposed to be, or any safety violation with kids involved.
Yeah, my sense of the city council is it'll probably pass. Like 7-3 maybe.
They're looking at all roads, right?
That was the initial map, yep.
As long as the speeds are low enough, I don't see them being a problem on 4-lane or on the bridge going across. We haven't had significant problems. Our ordinance does state that they have to have turn signals at night. I don't know if the city's ordinance is going to state that.
They are going to have lights. There are going to be certain time limits that they're allowed in the city. It's not going to be a free-for-all. There's going to be limits, but there's still going to be problems. I think in spirit, I think what they're trying to do is like improve recreation, business and stuff in the city. I get all that, but I think I agree with Travis. We'll have some issues with some operators, especially the younger generation operators, tearing up lawns, hopefully not running from the police, but I see that being an issue when we start doing some enforcement. And we're going to get some riding where they shouldn't be, probably between 21st Street and 9th Street, like on off-road type property. We'll struggle with some of those issues, but that's why I think it's important that we probably get a UTV for ourselves. So hopefully we get one. I think we're going to include it in our CIP budget to get one to help with doing some enforcement. So. That's all I had, John.
All right, thank you. Appreciate the discussion. Anybody have any further questions? All right. Wisconsin State Patrol is up next.
Since the last meeting, we had 65 crashes, 8 had injuries. We also started doing ASU details, the air sport with the airplane. We did a detail on May 11th on I-94. In 4 hours, we had made 62 traffic stops, which resulted in 44 citations and 36 warnings. We've also added 2 new troopers to the realm. We had a lateral transfer that came up from Franklin PD, and we had a trooper transfer from the eastern part of the state that just started this week. So we currently have 9 troopers assigned to Dunn County. So that is all I have.
Thank you. Okay, we will move on. Anybody from the DNR in the room? I don't think so.
No.
Okay, and then we'll move on to school administrators. Bill Yingst.
Good morning, everyone. Not a lot to report. We're kind of going, we had a good end of the school year as far as safety goes. No real incidents or anything. Highway 64 project, we had to adjust our summer swimming routes, and currently we're in the middle of summer school. We have one more week of that after today, just next week. But outside of that, I think we're doing okay. We had our DOT inspection and that was successful. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Anybody have any questions? All right. We will move on. From the Dunn County Board, Chair McCullough, anything to add today?
Nothing special.
All right. And I see Ryan Howe from the community is online here.
Good morning, everybody. I don't really have anything to add. Same as Bill, we finished out the school year. Everything was successful. We started summer school here Monday. We're going to run 3 sessions of that this year. So 2 weeks, a week off, 2 weeks, a week off, and then another 2 weeks. So we'll have about 6 weeks of summer school. But other than that, everything is going well. We have our DOT inspection in the middle of July. So other than that, I wish everybody a happy summer. I don't really have anything else to share.
Thank you, Ryan. And as a parent, I'll say I really appreciate the summer school. Okay, we will move on to the medical emergency reports, and Jenny from the Red Cross, you're up.
Yes, good morning. Just a couple items. So about just a little over a year ago, last April, we released a designated 24-hour number from our first responder partners. So this is the number that the County Dispatch Center uses when there's a request for Red Cross. And hopefully that's kind of improved the timing. It bypasses our menu. So that's just a direct number to our disaster line. And then as far as responses, since July 1st, we go through a fiscal year timeline. So July 1st through today, we've assisted 11 households. That's 29 individuals in Dunn County, and that's pretty close to the trend from last year, which is 12 households and 27 individuals. So, and that is it for us.
Thank you, Jenny. Anyone have any questions? Okay, I see none. And I don't see anyone from first responders. Okay, and Mayo Clinic. I think public health is up next, Jeff.
Sounds good. We don't have any updates for now. If anybody has questions, I'm glad to take those. Thanks.
Thank you. Any questions for the health department?
Yeah, just a quick touch base. How are you looking at H5N1 right now? H5N1, the flu variant. I know we haven't had any crossovers, but I'm just wondering if we had any regional.
I don't have that data in front of me, but I can share that data with this team afterwards if you want. You're looking for regional.
Yeah, just regional update on the H5N1.
Okay. Yeah, I can send that out to the group after this meeting.
Thank you, Jeff. I don't see Melissa on the call. Travis, anything to add on the medical emergency side?
No, I do not have anything else.
All right, thank you. And anyone from the fire department in person there?
No, there is not.
Okay. And UW Extension either. And that is the end of the list of reports. And so the next item is, the next meeting is September 20th at 9 a.m. And I would imagine it'd be a hybrid meeting as well. And anyone else have anything to add? Any announcements before we wrap up?
Jeff, thanks on the H5N1, and I find it enormously reassuring that you don't have that right at the front of your head.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Kelly.
it's always fun. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks again
Yeah,
to Rick Oleg, and hope everybody has a great day and a great weekend.
Basically, our voices did.